Today I'm making a smoked mac and cheese, and I'm going to show you some of the tricks I use to make a really good mac and cheese. I throw it on the smoker. So I start with some boiling salted water. So I salt that really good. I get my Dutch oven to put on the smoker, and I've got about 3 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to melt that down and add some some flour to make a roux. And then I'm going to use milk, and I've got my cheeses here. I've got Monterey Jack, Sharp Cheddar, and Velveeta. So a little bit more Monterey Jack than Sharp. These are from the block. I shredded them myself. The pre-shredded cheese has something in it that keeps them from sticking together, and it affects the creaminess of your mac and cheese. So you wanna shred your cheese, and I've got a box of large shells. So I like to use the shells. I think it makes a difference over the macaroni. So I know we call it mac and cheese, but the shells and cheese are the way to go, the large ones. And the way I do that, I boil these in that salted water, and I take them out before they're al dente. So I want them to cook a little bit, but I don't want them to get anywhere near done. And then I'm going to add it to the cheese sauce. I'm going to make a cheese sauce with the cheese and the butter, the roux, and the milk. And I'm going to add a little bit of the salt water to it to thin it out a little bit. So I'll kind of show you the consistency I'm looking for. And then it goes on the smoker around 225 to 275, anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. So and I kind of check it and keep it stirred a little bit along. But I'm gonna get all my stuff. I try to get all my stuff prepped before I start. That makes it a lot easier to come together and then get it out on the smoker. I can clean up later. So I got my butter starting to melt, and I put I don't know how much that is. I just use this big spoon and just put a little bit in there, maybe 2 tablespoons of flour. I want it to be a light roux. I don't want it to be real thick. So I use a little less flour. We use equal parts. And you want to cook it. So get it all mixed up and cook it. Got my water just about ready. I'm gonna wait just a minute and get this started before I add my shells. They're only going to cook about 5 or 6 minutes, something like that. I just test them for their doneness. I want them before al dente. And also, if you don't cook your noodles all the way to done, if you leave them before al dente, they'll absorb more of the sauce into them as they smoke. So you can go thinner with your cheese sauce if you cook the noodles a little underdone before you start. I've never tried it putting raw noodles in there. I would think you would have to add a lot of liquid to this because it absorbs so much. So I've never tried that. I guess you could. I've seen where people do that sometimes. This is just the way I make it, and I get a lot of compliments on it. So this is a requested dish I get. So I'm gonna let this cook for another minute or so, and then we'll start adding the milk. So that's just about ready, and my water is steaming good. It doesn't have to be a rolling boil to add your noodles on in. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my noodles in and give them a good stir. And I just use the same spoon. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. They're all gonna go in the same pot at the end. And so it's important to give them a good stir right when you put them in. And then again, after about every couple of minutes, give them a really good stir, keep them from sticking together. So my roux, I left my milk in the fridge until the time I need it. So I'm going to add some milk, and about like that. But I probably need more. But I'm going to let that heat up. I'm going to turn my heat up above medium. I had it a little below medium. So I'm going to raise the temperature, give it a little stir. And then once this milk starts heating up, it'll start thickening. The flour will thicken the milk. And once it does that, we're going to add a little bit more milk. Okay, so this has been going about 2 or 3 minutes, and it's just now starting to thicken just a little bit. So it's almost ready to add a little bit more milk. I didn't add a lot of flour, so you're not going to have it just totally thicken up to where you can't stir it. I don't think that's going to happen, but it is starting to thicken. So I'm going to turn my heat down just a little bit, closer to medium, and I'm just going to keep it stirred because I don't want this milk to burn. And I can see where I'm stirring off the bottom, getting a little bit of that flour roux on the edge of my spoon. So it's wanting to thicken. So I'm just going to keep stirring. I can see that it is thickening. It's looking more like a gravy than it did just a minute ago. So kind of keep stirring the edges. A whisk probably would work better here. You can see the roux that's coming off the bottom as I stir. Just don't want it to burn. This milk will scald. Not careful. Yeah, a whisk would be probably more ideal for this. Add a little more milk. Stir that in. Keep it going. That's going to cool it down a little bit, but I can tell that the thickening is happening. It's getting thick. Pitch the edges. Add some more milk. That's going to be pretty close right there. So that's probably the milk that we need. We might adjust it a little bit later. So now I'm going to add all my cheese in. So I've got all my cheese added in, and I keep my Velveeta block close at hand. So I've got extra Velveeta to use. I'm going to turn the temp down to about medium low. Because at this point, we're just going to melt this cheese. I don't want to worry about it burning. And I'm going to give the pasta a little stir off the bottom. And I'm going to check one of them. Pull a couple out here. I'm going to taste it for doneness. And that's where I want it to be. I don't want it to be done yet, so I'm going to get this out of the hot water. I'm going to save a cup of the water to add to this later, because this is starting to thicken up, so it's probably going to need a little bit more milk and a little bit of that pasta water to bring it together. So give me just a minute. So at this point, this is one of my little secrets that I use. I use just regular sweet paprika, and I put a good amount in this cheese sauce. And stir it in. It gives it a little bit of a richer color, and it adds a little bit of a pop of color to the end dish. It's almost like little specks, little flecks of bright red. People say you eat with your eyes first, so you just mix this in, and I'm gonna add just a little bit more milk. I want this sauce to be thin, because that pasta is gonna absorb a lot of this moisture. It'll turn out dry if you don't have it thin enough. So keep adding some milk. You're not gonna hurt it. So probably gonna be a little thinner than that at the end. But just gonna keep on, and I've got it down to medium low. Just gonna do this on medium low. You can kind of see those little flecks of red maybe in the, I don't know if you can see them in the video. I'm gonna do just a little bit more of that. I like that color. I think it really adds a nice presentation on the plate. You want those flecks of red in there. You can really see them there. I don't know if they're coming through, but it will glob up a little bit. So just kind of stir it in, stir in those globs of seasoning of paprika. You can kind of stir those in, and you kind of see the consistency we're at. We're gonna go a little thinner than that. Keep adding milk. We're gonna add a little bit of that pasta water too. If we add the pasta in just to adjust the final thickness of it. So another thing a whisk might do better with is whisking in this paprika, but you can just kind of rub it to the side and rub those lumps in a little bit. I'm probably gonna do just a little bit more milk, so it takes a good bit of milk, and that's 1 pound of shells. Yeah, that's getting pretty close. So a little bit more milk. Now it's looking about right. And then we can adjust it with the pasta water from there. I'm gonna add my shells back into this, give it a good stir, and then go to the next step. Got my shells in, I'm mixing it in, and I'm just gonna say it doesn't need the pasta water because that is thin enough right there. That's what I'm looking for. But what you want to do is you want to taste it. So get one of these shells out and give it a little taste. Give the cheese sauce a taste. And if it needs more cheese, that's when you add some more Velveeta. I think it needs a little Velveeta. So I'm going to add a couple more in there, and then we'll get it on the smoker. So we're going to stick this smoked mac and cheese on here. It's running about 250. About an hour. So the mac and cheese has been on right at 45 minutes. I've stirred it once at 20 minutes. So let's give it a little stir. Oh man, that's looking perfect up there. Give it a little stir, but that cheese sauce still got some runny to it. I don't know if you can see that. You can see those flecks of red in it. Oh man, that's perfect. This could go another 10 minutes and I may let it, but look at that cheese sauce right there, and then as it cools it's going to absorb more, so that looks good to me.